Alright, so here we are in front of the school board talking today about implementing mobile devices into our teaching curriculum. Now, to justify the reasons behind why would we want to implement, mobile learning, what problems could this solve? Now, in our day and age, in this continuing growing society, technology is a constant growing rate. In any kind of job, any kind of career, the need to know how to use technology is almost, you have to have it. It has to be implied in any kind of workspace, and it's used in any job or career that you're going to be working towards. At least the higher end jobs or almost any job. Even cashiers need to learn how to use the new touch screens, the electronics. It's a constantly growing field, and using this mobile technology such as a Chromebook, which I am proposing today, a tablet to use within classrooms, will allow us to not just, implement homework and textbooks into the work itself, but instead create a sense of skills towards using the technology before they even reach the point where they're forced to learn how to use technology. This use of technology, especially the Chromebook, also creates a much more efficient and productive lifestyle in the classroom. No longer we having to use chalkboards and chalk, but instead we are working towards everyone having a Chromebook and having their homework saved on it, having the textbooks on it, having paper, pencils, stuff you can write on right there on the pen pad, allowing you to get rid of all the extra fluff, the stuff that got lost or disorganized certain facilities. And now we just have a straight Chromebook that you keep in front of you during the classroom, during times you need paper, pencil, all that good stuff to write down, to keep track for you. Organization be a much simpler thing. Now, engagement with students is one of the basis that I think is probably the hardest thing to create as a teacher. How do you engage? How do you reach to them? And technology gives you a pathway to try different steps in order to reach that potential. No longer are you forced to just use your words, but you're able to use your visuals, and you're able to create things in front of them that gives them more of a sense of being able to see than just hear, being able to imagine it and create it inside themselves. Now, within the Chromebooks themselves, it also gives you a chance to give them creative power. They're allowed to, there's lots of creative apps within a Chromebook, and lots of helpful technology within the Chromebooks themselves that can create, those calculators right there on the spot. No longer do they have to go out and buy calculators. There is rulers, there is all kinds of math objects that you could use right there on the Chromebook that can allow you to create what you want to see. No longer do you have to imagine the 3D representation of a shape. You can see it right there in front of you by, moving the screen as needed and being able to see them different 3D proportions. This is the solution to a problem of creating students to like technology, creating them to understand technology, increase productivity, give them the possibility for you to engage with the students. This solves those problems while keeping it within a reasonable price. The cost of, I took a look at the cost of Chromebooks, and on a budget pick, which is the cheaper models, but that's really all you need for school, as you don't plan on, playing video games or any of that kind of stuff on these things. These are, meant for schoolwork and, opening books, which takes minimum power. And a budget pick is about $159 per student. Now, if we were averaging, 200 students, that would be about $31,800, which, when you take into account every single student having a Chrome, that allows you to have all your homework, all your textbooks, and not to mention the reusability of these Chromebooks. These aren't a one-time throw-them-away kind of deal. These aren't like the textbooks that, next year they're thrown out because they're no longer within the correct edition. But these are things that have reusability. These are things that can continue to be used year after year after year, as long as they're kept in good or decent condition. So while the cost initially is quite high, the overall cost throughout the years will be quite substantial when compared to having to constantly rebuy textbooks, while being able to have the newer editions at your implementation. Now, the way we'd implement these Chromebooks, of course, is the classroom would check them out to students during the day, and you'd be liable for the Chromebook you were using. Now, of course, we will forgive accidents, but we will use them throughout the day for schoolwork. We will use them to save your programs so that you can work on them at home and all that kind of stuff, so that you have more than just at the school. Now, if need be, we could check them out to students after school if we find that there's not too big of a liability issue with that, and they would be at that point liable for any damage caused to them, and they'd have to pay if any kind of damage was done. But while in school, it's much easier to watch over them than checking them out. So that's kind of a possible position that could take place later. Now, the impact of these systems are beyond what we can see. Not just for students, but teachers as well. We'd like to give it not just the students, but the teachers having their graphic organizers and their ability to keep track of everything, in one place, in a very singular, small location, in a few bytes of memory, creates a very unique situation in which we're not having papers thrown everywhere. There's no chance of losing anything. It's right there in the cloud, right there on your systems. And that allows you for a much more organized workspace while still giving students the chance to grow and learn. Just as I had said before, the chance to engage and extract that creative potential, allow them to develop their technological skills. And like I said, while the initial price is quite hefty, the overall cost of using them throughout year after year after year will really implement for itself and really pay for itself in the end, which is why I believe that mobile teaching in the end is the way to move forward.